guys, so right now it's like a pretty exciting time if you like film and TV, which most normal people do, because it's award season. Like, we had the National Television Awards the other night, there was the Golden Globes, and then there's the BAFTAs, and obviously the Oscars coming up, and I really cannot wait for them. So it'd be pretty hard to watch all of the films nominated. I'm sure some people manage, but I do really want to see those films that are nominated for Best Film and then are kind of spread out across all the other categories. Two films that are nominated for a lot of stuff that I have been able to see are Whiplash and Birdman, and both are incredible films, and I want to talk about them to you today. First up, I want to talk about Whiplash. I saw this film back in, I want to say October, I think it was October, at the premiere during the BFI London Film Festival. Here's a video about how I got there and all of that over there if you want to check that out. It's just a film that has so many like layers, and it's really, you know, it's not just I was going to say a two-dimensional film, if that makes sense. Like, it's got lots of dimensions that I feel like you need to watch a few times to really appreciate everything. But on a first watch, I appreciated quite a lot because it's a very immersive like experience. It's so intense and it's incredible. Like, you are literally on the edge of your seat, and it sounds weird when I tell you what the plot's about if you don't know yet for some reason. You know, it's about a drummer and a guy who wants to be like a really successful jazz drummer. Before I went to see it, I hadn't seen a trailer or anything. I'd read like a little bit in a program that it was about a drummer, and I was like, that looks okay. Like, I'm not particularly like really excited to go and see it, but I'm so glad I did get the opportunity to see it, because otherwise, who knows, I might not have got around to it and I would have been missing out. I feel like the most obvious thing when you go see a film, particularly for people that aren't into filmmaking, don't know much about it, is the acting, because that is what is on the screen, you know, like, it's kind of in your face, and the acting in this film is incredible. I think the film really benefits from its lack of characters. You have the two main characters, so you've got Andrew Neiman or something, should have double checked that, played by Miles Teller, who is the leading character, and then you have the supporting character of the brilliant J.K. Simmons playing his teacher, and they are both incredible. And then you've got like kind of like little supporting roles that contribute to the main characters, but it really is a tale of these two characters and their relationships. It's very character driven, and it's all about their ambitions and their ideals and the way they see things, and I feel like that's what makes the plot so good. But yeah, they both give incredible performances. I really want J.K. Simmons to get the BAFTA and the Oscar. I think he deserves both of them. If he's nominated for both of them, I'm pretty sure he is, and I think Whiplash could totally get Best Film. I was gutted that it wasn't nominated for the BAFTA, because there's so, like I've said, there's so much good about it. It's very fast paced, and the editing contributes to that perfectly. There's a lot of, you know, close-up shots and very quick pace. Like, what it reminded me of, and this sounds weird, but it was like Hot Fuzz and Edgar Wright's sequences that he does that are all like in your face and like really quick, and it's a completely different effect. One gets across like a comedy genre, and the other one gets across this really interesting genre that it's like on the edge of your seat, like, oh my gosh, and like really like fast paced and drama, but it's not about what you would kind of associate the like effect and the atmosphere of the film with, which I think is pretty cool. So good job on the directing and editing and cinematography of that, because it all works really well to give you the mood of the film. I think Jack said in his review of this, again, I meant to check this before filming, but it's fine. Yeah, Jack Howard sort of said like the film pretends it's going to be predictable, and you're kind of like, oh, I see where this is going, and then it's like, no you don't, this is where it's going, and it's like twists, and it's full of, it's good, it's really good, go and see it. Obviously I've got to mention the sound design. It's a film about sound, so sound design and editing, super effective, and just overall I think 5 stars. It is one of the best films I've seen of recent times, perhaps ever, but don't want to be too nice, gotta leave room for improvement somewhere. Another thing that made me personally connect with Whiplash, I think, is because as an artist, it is an incredibly powerful film, and by artist I mean that as like a completely broad term. The film itself focuses on musicians, but it's transferable to writers, to painters, to sculpturers and filmmakers, and as someone who like really wants to be a filmmaker, that is how I related to the film, and that is how I was like, it made me think, I should say, because it's like this is a young person striving really hard to be the best at their sort of creative outlet, and that's kind of like how I see sort of where my path is going. And so it was, yeah, definitely an interesting one. But yeah, good job Whiplash and everyone who worked on it. Not that you're going to be watching this, might be, but doubt it. Hello if you are. Really enjoyed your film. So yeah, that's Whiplash. Go and see that one. Next up, Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. And this film is so clever. Both of these films really make you think. Like I said, they got levels. They're like onions and ogres, onion and ogre films. That should be like a thing, like on posters. It's like, this is a real onion ogre film. I'm getting sidetracked. But Birdman finished, and me and my friend were kind of like, that was, so what was that about? Because it's really clever at displaying sort of like the blurs between what's actually happened and what's not happening. And because it's already film, it's already fictional, so you're experiencing something fictional, and then within that fictional piece it's like, but what's real in that world and what's actually happening, and it's cool to sort of think, and it leaves the end quite open. It's quite ambiguous, and I think there is an easy like way to read it and the way, so I think what happened, but you know, there are different endings you could take away from it, which I really like, and it opens for great discussion. So if people have seen it, discuss it with me. I sound like a complete loser saying this, but it is kind of one of those films where I want to write an essay on it, and I want to find as many people who have seen it and talk about it. And yeah, I don't know, maybe that's just because I want to study film and I'm like studying English, so I'm kind of into like analysing and writing about stuff, but honestly that's how I felt after it, which is totally a good thing. I have to mention the soundtrack to this film. There is so much use of just drums and nothing else, and oh my gosh, is that effective. Like, the atmosphere is so tense, and it's like it keeps going, and just the drums, you're like, oh my gosh. And Michael Keaton's performance as the central character is brilliant. I loved all the characters in these. Like, I felt like I cared about them. There was a lot about relationships with characters and people's relationships with themselves, which was good because again you got that sort of character driven plot, which means you're more invested, I think, in the outcome of the story. I personally love theatre and acting, and this film is set majorly in a theatre, and I think that gave it a really nice feel. As someone who has often been backstage and on stage, it's like I felt like I could relate to the setting, which was cool. The way the film was shot was like a continuous shot, and in all the sort of reviews I've read of this film, they've commented on that. That was good job on that, because I can imagine that must have been quite tricky to actually get to work really well, so they did great on that. Yeah, I love the character of Mike Sheehan. I'm rubbish at remembering character names, but the sort of supporting guy played by Edward Norton, he was good. But yeah, I think Birdman's just an interesting one, just sort of the issues it explores, stuff I'm interested in. It's kind of to do with like a little bit about like mental illnesses and like psychological stuff, and then also about celebrity culture, and that's interesting. So it's definitely one that makes you think. I think Whiplash does as well, but this one's slightly more like ambiguous, I think, I would say personally. So go see that one as well. My favourite thing, I'm trying to think, if I were to pick like one thing that I thought was like the best from both of the films, it would be really hard because the entire films, but I think that use of drums in the soundtrack for Birdman really stood out to me. And then with Whiplash, like the editing of it, the fast-paced editing, those two things sort of really stood out to me. Like I said, the entirety of the films, such a good job. I think Birdman would also get 5 stars, but I do need to watch them more than once before I go away throwing all my stars at these films. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for both of them during the award season, but there is some tough competition out there this year, as there is every year. And thanks for listening and watching and all that stuff, guys. I'll chat to you soon, and I hope you're having a great day. Goodbye.